Why is it so easy to get angry when we have to wait? I mean, it seems like that's our natural go-to response. There's other things that we may embrace when we're waiting that are unhelpful, like we get anxious or we just kind of don't care anymore. But I think for most of us, myself included, our natural sort of knee-jerk reaction is frustration, kind of low-grade anger, or like really angry. What's happening in that moment? Well, what's happening is that underneath these moments of waiting is the reality that I'm no longer in control. Like I don't have the ability to change the situation. Things are out of my ability to manipulate, out of my ability to manage, or maybe even figure out. And that creates an enormous level of insecurity. It can be fearful and it can be really something that you want to solve quickly. So what anger is, it's an emotional, sinful response to try and solve something quickly so I can regain control. And as I've thought about that, it's been helpful for me when I'm in a season or a situation that I'm forced to wait and I didn't expect to wait or I don't want to wait. I can realize, oh, this rising sense of tension within me is actually not just anger, that's true, but it's also my desire to regain control. In effect, to try and be godlike, to change the situation even though I don't have the power to change it. Because waiting feels really powerless. You think of what the book of James says about anger. It says, the anger of man does not accomplish the righteousness of God. James lays out a distinction. We have God's righteousness and we have man's anger, and the two of them don't go together. And as a result, his instruction is be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So when you're waiting, it's important to recognize that this surfacing of anger is really my attempt to regain control of the situation. And waiting on God means that I release my right to control my life. So waiting simply means that I trust that it must be that God knows that this gap moment is good for me. Even though I don't like it, even though it's hard, that God has designed this in order to teach me something about himself or about me. And in that way, you can transform the waiting moment from something that's annoying or hard to something that's instructive. You can also use it as a moment to be reminded not what you don't know or what you're not in control of, but what do I know to be true about God in this moment? Psalm 27 says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. And then says this, of whom shall I be afraid? I love the way the psalmist connects who the Lord is to moments that are fearful or things that in some way could be disconcerting. And I found it to be helpful in my own life, that when I'm waiting, especially when those waiting moments are creating fear, that I go quickly to remind myself, who is the Lord? What's he like? And at the end of Psalm 27, it says, I believe that I will look upon the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. So wait for the Lord. Be strong. Let your heart take courage and wait for the Lord. Listen, it takes courage to not get angry when you have an expectation of how your life's going to turn out. It takes boldness and strength to not give in to sinful anger when you want to take control. And one of the most faith-filled, godly things that you can do when you're waiting and you're tempted to be angry is instead to say, I'm going to be reminded about who God is. When I don't know what's true about my life and I'm tempted to get angry, I'm going to turn that as an opportunity to say, I know who the Lord is. The Lord is my light, my salvation. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. So whom shall I be afraid? Or maybe another way to say it. So why should I be angry? I can trust in him.